In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How are you, dear students? Dear students, as you know that this is Pakistan International School Guides Virtual Learning System and you are in biology class. And this is uh, for this class for grade 8. And today's lecture, we will continue chapter number 4 in which we are studying cells and tissues. Actually, this is quite a long chapter, that's why it's taking too much time. But no problem, we are about to finish this chapter. So this today's topic is animal tissues. Before this, the topics about the passage of um, the cells that is actually not included in this term, but we'll study inshallah in 9th senior. So we'll study right now animal tissues. So let's get started. Animal tissues, there are lots of types of animal tissues, as we know that when the cells combine, they form tissues and they perform the same function at the required area. And there are lots of animal tissues, as you know that human beings is also included in animals, as you have classified human in chapter number 3 as kingdom and mammalia. So we'll talk about uh, basic of human body tissues. So there are several tissues like connective tissues, skeletal tissues, epithelial tissues, nervous tissues, cardiac and smooth muscles also. So we'll talk about one by one all of them. Let's talk about first of all epithelial tissues. So epithelial tissue is the tissue which is at the lining of the body, outside of the body and inside of the body parts. You can see here you can see this is capillary walls outside and um, air sacs like alveoli which is present in the lungs, their outer layer, as well as in the ducts of the glands, outer layer of that, these ducts like, and the lining of airways like the nasal cavity and trachea and bronchi, and we can see the skin. So they all are epithelial tissues. Epi means upper, so that is upper layered tissues in animal. So, what are epithelial tissues? Actually, epithelial tissues cover the outside of the body and lines the organs and cavities. All the cavities and organs are covered by some layers of the tissues. So, those are called epithelial tissues. The cells in the tissues are very closely packed together and they don't have any space among themselves because they have to cover whole of the organ of the body like in the skin. So that's why they are closely packed together. So they are having many types on the basis of their number of layers and the shapes of the cells. So right now we will talk about some almost the 5 kinds of epithelial tissues. The number one is squamous epithelium. Squamous word come from uh, the word squama. It means the flat scales, like the scales which are present on the fishes. And we know that fish body is covered by very thin but flattened scale-like tissues. So squama means scale like flattened cells. So these flattened cells cover whole of the lining or the body cavity. So that is just single layered and made up of flat cells. So where they are found, there are 3 points in every heading of that. Number one, what is its structure? Structure, it is a single layer of flat cell. Other one is its location. So it is found in the lungs, heart, and blood vessels. So they are all covered from outside with the help of outside or inside with the help of squamous epithelium. Number third is point is its function. So what does it allow? Why the layer is so thin and flat? Because it allows the movement of the material. So for the movement of materials, it is very important. So the cell layer must be thin so that the materials can easily move from that. Okay, the next one is cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium, the cells are having cube-like structures. So first of all, it's a structure we can say. So that is a single layer, just they are placed singly, one not in like double, triple layer, one above the other, but single layer of cube-shaped cells, if you can see here. So where are they present? So they are present in the kidney tubes, in small glands as well. In kidney tubes, there are like urinary tract, ureter, and collecting ducts. All these tubes are having these type of cuboidal epithelium tissue, and small glands also, the glands it's covering and its ducts are also covered by cuboidal tissues. And what is the function of these cuboidal epithelium? So it makes the secretions because it is present in the glands. Glands are actually very very small, round, sometimes rounded shapes, sometimes it is having different shapes, structures which are present on different parts of the body to produce some secretions, especially hormones and enzymes. So these glands are used to um, secrete certain secretions, and these cuboidal cells are present over there to uh, release or secrete the secretions. Secretions mean any type of fluid, any type of chemical which is required in the body, and also present in the kidney tubes. Kidney tubes also um, releases certain enzymes and secretions while making a urine. So kidney tubes are also made up of these cuboidal epithelial tissues. Then we are having a columnar. This is like come from column. You know, column we make this like vertical lines. We make like when we compare something or we have to write table, so we make columns. So these are columnar epithelium means they are elongated cells like columns. And where they are present, they are present in alimentary canal. Alimentary canal, what does it mean? Alimentary canal, alimentary canal means that it is present in all over our we can say the digestive system, that from your mouth up to the anus, the last part of the digestive system through which the excreta comes out. So up to here, that is called alimentary canal because it acts like canal, a tube like structure. So that is having columnar epithelium tissue. And as well as gallbladder, we know that gallbladder is present in the liver and it produces some secretions. These also columnar cells, so they also produce some secretions, and these secretions like the enzymes and hormones are released from gallbladder and alimentary canal also, which makes whole of the digestive tube wet, as well as it produces some secretions for the digestion of the food. Next one is ciliated columnar epithelium. So you can see these are also epithelia. We can say the columnar cells means elongated cells, but they are having cilia on it. We have talked about a lot of, in the previous lecture about the cilia. Cilia means very small hair-like projections, hair-like outgrowths on the cells. So these are called we can say, ciliated columnar cells, but ciliated cells. These are elongated with cilia or hair-like projections. So where they are present, its location is in the trachea and bronchi. You know trachea? Trachea is your windpipe, like from nose when you breathe in. So from here, from nose, your air passes down into the trachea, then it goes into the lungs. So this is called trachea and bronchi as well. So this trachea is divided into the lungs into these tubes. So these tubes are called bronchi. So these ciliated columnar epithelium tissues are present, or cells are present over there. What does it function? Because they are having cilia, so you can see here in the diagram that these small dust particles, when moving from this cilia, these cilia, so what will happen, these stick with this cilia. So these cilia act like a broom, and what they do, they clean up the air which passes down into the trachea and bronchi, and then it moves into our lungs. So it also does, it propels mucus. Propels means it secretes a mucus, or it moves the mucus around in the place, like in our nose, in a trachea and bronchi. Some mucus also comes from these columnar or ciliated columnar cells from here, and when these cilia move from here, so all the dust particles, with the help of cilia, they stick with the mucus, and mucus is spread all over this. So propels means it's mucus spreads all over the cilia, all over the place lining of our nose, trachea and bronchi, like in our respiratory tract, to carry the dust particles and the germs which come in the air. And also it moistens the air, and it warms the air up to our um, body temperature. So they are very, very important. These cells, they perform very important function as well. Let's talk about another type of squamous epithelium or epithelium cells, epithelium tissue, that is called stratified squamous epithelium. Whenever the word stratified comes, it means it is having lots of layers of these cells. Before we have studied about squamous cells or epithelium, they are having only single layered flattened cells. But here the cells are flattened, but they are having lots of layers, and it makes a thick layer. You can see here too much thick layer of this stratified squamous epithelium is there. So its structure is, it is having many layers of flat cells, and where they are present, its location is in the lining of esophagus, like in your food pipe, from which the food moves from your mouth to your stomach. In your mouth, your cheeks, from inside, it is having very thick skin, so it is having stratified squamous epithelium over there. And all over your skin, that is having lots of layers of this squamous, stratified squamous epithelium tissues. What is its function? If you can see the layers is too thick here in this stratified squamous epithelium, so it protects the inner part. So it is having thick covering out of the body to protect the inner parts. So here is a summary of epithelial tissues. You can see the squamous epithelium, functions and locations. So alveolar sacs, like in the lungs, there's alveola which just breathe in the air, oxygen. Cardiovascular lining, like in your heart. So this is simple basement membrane, like which forms the base of the these type of organs. Its function is protect against the aberration. Aberration means any type of damage. Dehydration means water will not reduce from the body in the presence of squamous epithelium, as well as it is present in the epidermis of cells, and it is the covering of lining, anus and vagina, every part of the body. Then we will see cuboidal cells. So cuboidal do absorption and secretion. Its function is present in the kidney tubules, ducts, secretory regions of glands, like it produces the secretions in the body, protection and secretion, and large ducts of exocrine glands, like the glands which produces some secretions. Then we are having columnar cells. So columnar cells are having different, like stratified, what we have studied about, like ciliated columnar cells, and here we have studied about stratified squamous epithelium. So they are having almost the same functions from simple squamous and stratified squamous, for the protection and the movement. And here in uterine tubes, bronchioles of the lungs, like in the lungs, protection and secretions, and like in present in the lining of uterus, and all um, important like parts of the body as well. And nasal cavity, larynx, trachea, bronchi, urinary tract, so all the places they are present. This is called a pseudostriated. Um, Pseudostriated means this is a stratified, sorry, not stratified means layers are present here. These are simple because they don't have layers. They are just a single layer. And pseudo means they overlap one over the other, but they don't have proper um, layers of that. Now we'll talk about some more tissues in our body. First, we have talked about epithelial tissues. Now we'll talk about connective tissue. That is, the name is showing it does the connection, and it is having the function of connecting of what different parts of the body, and all the parts of the body. So what does its function? Its function is it supports and binds other tissues also with one and other. So how do they perform the function? What are the examples we'll talk about here? So epithelial tissues, this covers the lining and it gives a protection, but connective tissue, as the cells scattered throughout an extracellular matrix. Okay, uh, cells scattered throughout an extracellular matrix. You can see these are the cells. These are the cells, all the cells, but they are not stick together, and they have spaces between them. So these spaces, for example, you can see these are blood cells. So these are the spaces. This is, and inside that, this is plasma. Okay, so the cells are scattered throughout an extracellular matrix, like the place. There are the places between the cells, among the cells, and there. When we are talk about extracellular, it means out of the cell. So out of the cell, there is some places in which the fluid is present. That fluid is called matrix. So that is having scattered throughout. There is extracellular matrix, and all the cells of these tissues, connective tissues, are scattered around them. Like in the blood, you can see red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and other things are present like proteins, hormones, chemicals, and lots of things. So blood is itself is a connective tissue. So let's talk about some examples of connective tissue, like cartilage. Cartilage, where it is present, its location is it's present at the end of the bones. Like this is the bone, and here the bone ends here, and from here the next bone starts, and from here it starts. So at the end of this there is um, a thick part of the bone, but actually that is not the bone, that is called soft bone. So that is clearly seen when we cook a chicken and we find its leg piece, and we see at the end of the leg piece at this part, so we can see a soft bone here. That is actually cartilage. And your external ear, that is called pinna, which collects the sound waves. So that is not bone, that is not muscle, that is a cartilage, like bone, but soft bone, not hard bone. So that soft bone is called cartilage. That we don't give the name it as a bone. And your nose also, your nose is having muscles, bone, and as well as cartilage. Where your nostrils are there, above the nostrils, that is nostril is muscles, above the nostrils, that is cartilage. Then we are having in the trachea. Trachea is your windpipe, where this cartilage is present. Okay, now we'll talk about bone and blood. Bone is also the connective tissue. It connects with the muscles, with other bones also. So they are also the connective tissue as well as the bone, because it connects all the parts of the body with one another. Very next example is adipose tissue. Adipose tissue found around our kidneys, every organ, around every organ we are having adipose tissues. It means fats, almost the fats. So under our skin, if the person is bulky, it's we can say the fat person or bulky person. So our skin is too much thick, and because it is having lots of adipose tissues under the skin. And abdomen also, because when the person is bulky and fat, so definitely he collects lots of adipose or the fats under the abdomen, in the abdomen. Abdomen means your belly. And so this adipose tissues, it keeps it provides the person energy, as well as it supports support the organs, and as well as it provides the temperature heat to the body. Okay, do you know that exercise does not increase the numbers of our skeletal muscle cells? We do exercise like athletes or wrestlers, they do exercise, heavy exercises to build the muscles. Actually, they don't increase in the numbers of the muscles. Skeletal muscles does not increase, but they get enlarges, because it is said that when we use anything too much, so it becomes its size, it takes its size, or it enlarges its size. So this is the same theory. And like when we do exercise, we use which type of muscle uses, it will become enlarges. Okay, let's talk about another type of tissue, that is muscle tissue. Very, very important indeed. Muscle tissue consists of bundles of long cells called muscle fibers. So it is the most abundant tissue in an animal, because if we talk about human beings, so we are having different types of tissues. The cells of the tissues have the ability to contract. That's why the muscles move. What type of muscles are there? There are three types of muscles: cardiac muscles, which are present in the heart; skeletal muscles, which are present for the movement of our body parts like the arms, legs, and ribs, etc. And then we are having smooth muscles, which are present in our internal organs. So three type of muscles are there. We'll talk about them. So you can see here these three thin lines. You can see these are called muscle fibers. So first type of muscle is called skeletal muscles. So skeletal muscles you can see because they are attached um, with a skeleton. That's why they are called skeletal muscles, and they are attached to the bones. So they are called striated muscles, and these striations or stripes. Striations come from stripe. Stripes or strips. Um, how you can see these lines, these lines, these lines, these lines are seen when we deeply see in the microscope. So from these lines we can say that these muscles are having striations like stripes they are having. So they appear as striped muscles. They are having one cell is having many nuclei because the muscle fiber is very long from one bone to another bone. And what is the function of that? They are responsible for the movement of bones simply. So here, okay. Next, there are smooth muscles. It gives the name smooth because it does not have any striation. It does not have any. You can see here is no striation, no lines here in the muscles, and no lines here. They are having spindle shaped. Spindle shape means this type of shape from which is tapered or conical or very thin from both of the sides, and from the center it is broad. This is called spindle shape. So its location is it is present in alimentary canal. We have talked about before what is alimentary canal. Alimentary canal means your whole of the digestive system. So these smooth muscles are present over there. They are also present in urinary bladder, where the pouch-like structure at the end of the abdomen, where the urine is stored, and then it is present in the blood vessels. So we can see here this is a blood vessel, artery, and here you can see smooth muscles are present. So inside we have also seen that in arteries and veins we are having squamous epithelium. Then out of this there is three layers of smooth muscles and then connective tissues. It is having connection with other organs also. So and they contain smooth cells. It means they don't have any striation, you can see here, as well as they are having single nucleus in one cell. You can see here single nucleus in one cell. What is the function of that? Because all these cells don't have striation, as well as they're present in the internal organs, especially in the blood vessels. So its function is for the movement of substances, which helps in the movement of substances. When these muscles contract and relax, so movement substances move inside them. Now, last but not the least, we are having cardiac muscles. Cardiac, the word comes wherever the word comes. Cardiac specialist, we say heart specialist, cardiology, the study of heart. So it means heart muscles. They are very specialized muscles. They are only present in heart, not any other part of the body. So they are present in the wall of the heart. You can see here the wall of the heart. These type of muscles are present in the heart, and every muscle is having single cell in single nucleus in that. And what is the function? It's so simple. Its function is to produce heartbeat. but these muscles are having connection like this with one another, so that all the hard muscles can get contraction at the same time. Okay, up to here we have studied about the muscles and some tissues. So for muscles, one thing is very important, that some muscles are voluntary and some muscles are involuntary. Voluntary means the muscles which contract or do their action in control of our own will. When we want, then they can contract and they can move, like skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles move, which are attached with the bones when we want to move them. Like when we walk, we do exercise, and we move anywhere, we write, we speak like that. These are skeletal muscles. Some muscles, they are involuntary. They do perform their function by their own will. For example, these muscles are smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. So smooth muscles, like in our gut means alimentary canal, whole of this, in the kidneys, in like all like the tubes, blood vessels, blood flows by themselves. When we eat the food, food moves by itself. We don't want to keep the food here in the stomach, not to go forward. It's not in our own will. That that is done not under our control. So that's why they are involuntary muscle, as well as hard muscles. From before the birth of the child up to the death, it just move, contract, work, and it works at the same rhythm, same time, same duration. Sometimes the problems can occur, like heart diseases, so it can be abnormal, but it just perform its function by its own. So it is also involuntary. So smooth and cardiac muscles are involuntary, and skeletal muscles are voluntary. Now the last one, that is the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue, like we have to coordinate with our surroundings also. To coordinate with surroundings, what type of um, situation is outside, atmosphere is outside, season is changing, all the type of, like we're touching hot, cold, everything. We need to coordinate with that environment. And in our body, the organs also coordinate with one another. This coordination is done by nervous tissue. So nervous tissue actually forms communication system and perform the task of transmission of information among the parts of the body. You can see here in this diagram, the message is coming from the body to the brain, and then from the brain to the heart, sorry, from other parts of the body. So this brain and this long tube which goes up to here, this is called spinal cord, and this is brain. So this is central nervous system, and these all vein nerves are called peripheral nervous system. Will not go in detail. So this is the tissue, and mainly composed of nerve cells. You have studied in the previous classes also. Nerve cells. Nerve cells, this is nerve cell, and this nerve cell, you can see it is having several parts. This larger one, this is called cell body. These extensions which go here, these are called dendrites. This long tube which is going from here, this is called axon, and these endings, these are called terminal endings. And like messages going from the cell body to the terminal endings. And this one is also having nerve terminals, and other nerve will join this nerve from here, and the message move from one neuron to another neuron or nerve, and it conducts messages from brain to whole of the body. So nervous tissues is found in brain, spinal cord, and nerves. All these we can see here, and we can see these are two types of nerves in which these cells are present. and these cells are called Schwann cells. This is not important for you right now, but in the next classes it will help you. Schwann cells, these cells are present in the nerve, so the nerve impulse jump and it will like reach to the terminal quickly as compared to this one. So here the nerve impulse will transmit quickly, and here it is very late. So in our body sometimes somewhere we are having these type of nerves and these type of nerve, but overall this whole system just composed of the nervous tissue which is spread in our body. So let's talk about once again just a quick review of this. We have seen lots of tissues over there. The first of all, epithelial tissue, in which there are squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium, and then we have seen striated squamous epithelium. Then we'll talk about muscle tissues. So there are skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles also. Then we have seen some connective tissues. In that we have seen bone, cartilage, and blood as well. And then we have seen and the last nervous tissue. So all of these tissues and cells and muscles together, it forms an organism, including all the organs which are present in the body. Dear students, that's it for today. Sorry to keep more time, to take more time, because we have to complete this topic in this lecture. Maybe it is too long. I hope you understood this all. Inshallah, we will continue in the next lecture, plant tissues. Wish you all the best. Allah Hafiz.